What is going on, people? Alex Thorn here, and I'm just a rock and roller who in his downtime likes to watch movies while wearing a bandana. And this is my final video of 2024. Thank you guys for making it through the whole year with me and having me grow to be monetized. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. It's been a little over 2 years, but it's all continuous and going because of you guys. I don't want to talk too much more because we have got, as you can see on the screen, this is the first time I've ever done this, a ranking off a tier maker. I've never done this through this site, but I've seen it on other YouTubers. 25 movies or so that I watched that were brand new in the year 2024. We've got a ranking system here. This is basically the 5 bandanas. And this is honestly what the 5 bandanas mean anyways, which is perfect movie, 5 bandanas. Better than I thought, 4 bandanas. Easy to watch or rewatch, 3 bandanas. It's not terrible, 2 bandanas. And a complete waste of time, 1 bandana. So this is theoretically the bandana ranking system, but I wanted to make it easy for anybody who never saw what the bandana ranking system for this channel is. Again, I'm Alex Thorn. Let's get into it because we got a lot of movies to talk about. So first up is a movie called Time Cut, a Netflix original. And you guys didn't see a review for this because it was only exclusive for channel members. So you guys are going to get the official ranking without the 8 minutes of talking and chatter that I do. And Time Cut, from what I can remember, Time Cut is easy to rewatch. Easy to watch and easy to rewatch. I saw a lot of people talking about it online saying that it wasn't that good. It wasn't very representative of the early 2000s. And honestly, from what it showed, it was just more of the convoluted ending that got to me that made it, you know, not a 4 bandana or 5 bandana movie, but clearly a 3 bandana movie. Next up is Despicable Me. This is another movie that I watched in theaters because my kid wanted to see it, but I did not review it for channel members or for subscribers. I only did a short on it because I don't like to be negative for a long period of time when I talk about movies. So that being said, this movie to me, I gotta be honest, and it's crazy to say this. It was not terrible, but I'm hesitant not to put it at being a waste of time because I don't remember anything about it. And I love Despicable Me 1 and 2. Wasn't hot on 3 at all. But this one, I legitimately don't remember anything about it, as well as it's just such a letdown from 1 and 2 and Minions. The first one, I didn't get to see Rise of Gru, but I don't know this. I'm, teetering between waste of time and it's not terrible. I think my affliction for, my love for 1 and 2 and Minions is holding me back from putting it as a waste of time. Next is Memoirs of a Snail. Thanks to Letterboxd, I was invited out, which, by the way, I'll put the card up for Letterboxd and my profile on there. If you don't know what Letterboxd is, it's basically a social networking site, the written word for fans of movies. And Memoirs of a Snail was a movie that Letterboxd sent me out to. And I thank Letterboxd for that. But at the same time, this movie was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Not just this year alone. This was trash to me. I went online and read reviews afterwards and people were like, this is amazing, this is great, but I've never seen a more woke piece of crap ever. And this is not indicative of Letterboxd whatsoever because they send you out to a bunch of different movies if you're cool with them. But man, I don't even know. I was going to say I don't know who this is for, but I do know who this is for, and it's a waste of time. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The Uglies. This movie, I actually reviewed it for channel members as well. It's not an official subscriber review, but if you guys want to see stuff like this and Time Cut, and there's a few more actually, there's another one right after that is exclusive to members, please check out this channel's memberships because it helps me and you can help support the channel. The Uglies. For me, I'm going to be honest with you, it was better than I thought. Yes, I know if you actually read the book, and I've heard about this too, that this couldn't hold a candle to it, and the threat of being pretty, oh my God. But I liked that dystopian view that look of the movie. It reminded me a lot of Alita Battle Angel, and I was a big fan of that movie. So I think the charm of it is what made me say, like, yeah, you know what? I could rewatch this, and not only rewatch this, but I like it. All right. Another channel member exclusive review, Dead Sea. This was a raw review, meaning as soon as I watched the movie, I turned on the camera and just talked to the camera raw, no edits, no fancy B-roll or anything like that. Dead Sea. Very interesting premise. Very interesting premise about three kids that, get crashed out in the water, but then get saved by somebody, and the two girls that get saved along with the guy get captured, and one is going to be used for SA trade, and the other one is just going to be harvested for her organs, and that is wild. The problem with this movie is it just moves a little bit too slow, and the antagonist had zero personality. I mean, this guy should have been threatening some way, somehow, and he was not. So I'm going to put this in It's Not Terrible, because I would never rewatch this movie again, but it was also interesting enough to not be a waste of time. Next up, the brand new Sonic 3. Now, I haven't done a review for this on the channel because I don't want to catch... For one, I don't want to catch slack from Jim Carrey fans. Two, I don't want to I don't want to absolutely be crucified by Sonic fans. So I don't want to spend 8 minutes talking bad about a movie I didn't enjoy. It's not terrible, but double the carry doesn't equal double the fun. It actually equals double the annoyance to me. I did not enjoy Shadow. I felt like he was just boring. I much preferred the last story with Knuckles. There just wasn't enough Sonic in this, and there was way too much Jim Carrey, and Shadow was boring. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's my review for Sonic 3. Subservience, which just showed up on Netflix. I actually really liked this movie. I really like this movie. I could see myself rewatching this movie in a few years, no problem. It was initially better than I thought, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say that it's easy to rewatch. I know I put in better than I thought, but that was my initial review. Is it top tier? No. And I'm actually going to change out Uglies too, because I'm thinking about what I thought when I watched the movie the first time. These are easy rewatches. Time Cut, Subservience, and Uglies. They're not standing the test of time as great movies, but it was Subservience was, very sexy with Megan Fox, and I've always found her to be pretty, but just never found her to be sexy. This movie made her sexy because she said less and did less. Twisters. Oh my God. This movie not only is better than I thought, it is a perfect update to the original 1996 release. Perfect update with modern CGI, modern characters, modern technology being used in the movie to capture these twisters and all that stuff. Plus, I saw it in 4DX with my son, and it was just a rock and roll ride, man. What a great movie. If you've got a great sound system, an OLED TV, or maybe even if you have a cool high-tech projector with that great sound system, you're going to absolutely love Twisters. Oh, man. Afraid AI. I had some hopes coming into this movie, but by the end of it, I got to tell you, man, when you think of what was released, last year in Megan, what was released this year in Subservience, and then you've got also Afraid, this was an absolute waste of time. It literally took me and my buddy 20 plus minutes. No, I think longer than that. It took us maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to speak about this movie and figure out all the different things that were going on with it. It just wasn't clear, and it made no sense to me whatsoever. I just did not like it. It was a waste of time. Alien Romulus. Guys, man, not only was it better than I thought it would be, especially because on this channel, I did a deep dive with live watch-alongs, full reviews, and then rankings on the Alien series. This movie is a perfect Alien movie right next to Aliens from 1986. Alien Romulus, solid, man. Solid movie. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. Atlas, Netflix original starring Jennifer Lopez. Contrary to, popular opinion at this moment, I am a Jennifer Lopez fan. I don't love everything she does, but I think when she does things well, she does things well, and she needs the credit. And in this movie, it reminded me a lot of Aliens. It reminded me a lot of Terminator. It reminded me a lot of Babylon AD. So I'm gonna give J-Lo and Atlas better than I thought, because it's not just easy to rewatch, but it's a movie that I genuinely enjoyed and would want to watch again and again. I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but this is my channel, and that's what the comment section is for. Next up, we have what I believe was the first summer blockbuster of 2024, Bad Boys Ride or Die, which should have been called Bad Boys for Life. Martin actually took the lead in this one, which was wild because I thought Martin was done after that last movie. He really was, man, almost immobile in it. And in daily stuff, with what we see him now, he looks pretty bad. But in this movie, somehow they got him to move and be the lead. And I got to tell you, better than I thought. Better than I thought when I watched it, and better than I thought than when I remember it. And it is a solid release. I enjoy the 4K Blu-ray of that, and Romulus and Twisters. Those are movies you got to get if you love physical media. Awesome movies. We've got next Eddie Murphy's return with Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Netflix original. I love Eddie. He is my favorite actor of all time. I'm honestly going to give Axel F easy to rewatch. I wanted it to be better than I thought. It was just as good as I thought it would be. But something about the movie felt like this is a streaming movie. It did not feel as big as Twisters, Bad Boys, Alien, and a couple other movies on this list. It felt about right. It felt like a Netflix original, but it also is good. So we'll give it easy to rewatch. To be original, we got next Cabin Girl. It presented some good ideas. I don't remember all of the ideas, but essentially the entire movie is one of those movies that it ends up in her brain. And I think it would have been a good movie if there wasn't this ridiculous ghost, this watery ghost that was chasing her throughout the movie. It's coming back to me now. It presented some good ideas, so I'm going to say it's not terrible because it wasn't a waste of time. It did piss me off in the end, the way it ended with her in a loony bin, if I remember correctly. But there were some good ideas there. It was enough to keep you holding on to be like, come on, something's going to happen here, right? Like, you're going to execute on what I think you're doing, but no, it never got there. But there was ideas. Oh my God. Godzilla -1. I mean, seriously. Is there anything more to say? This movie was incredible on every front. It won real legit awards. A Godzilla movie won real legit awards, the same awards as people who made Titanic made and all this other stuff. This movie brought Godzilla back to where he should be, being a serious threat. And you could feel the enormity of him compared to the people on the ground and the buildings and everything. This was just perfection. I'm waiting for them to come out with this movie on 4K Blu-ray with English subtitles and overdub on it. That's when I want to buy it. I don't want to buy it while it still has the original Japanese language on there only. I need that in English like they have it on Netflix, because this movie was absolute perfection in what it did for Godzilla. Now, speaking of what it did for Godzilla, this next movie, which you guys, I know it's going to be a hot button topic, but this next movie, Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, to me goes in the it's not terrible. And I'm really teetering on waste of time, because it is only in retrospective that I'm saying that it's not terrible. Because when I watched it, I really did think it was just a complete waste of time. I did not like, especially coming from Godzilla -1, how America literally took Godzilla backwards and made him silly again. And I don't know where this pink shit came from on him. Again, I have no problem with pink. I wear pink. I'm a rock and roller. It's cool. But Godzilla was just given this perfect movie in -1, and then from Toho. And then you've got this BS that came out here in America. The only reason I'm going to say it's not terrible is because if I was 8, 9, 10 years old, 12 years old, I would probably love the movie. But coming off of Godzilla Minus One, I have no desire to watch this movie ever again. Here we go with I believe, an early 2024 release from Blumhouse, of course, Imaginary. Once again, it's one of those movies that just presented good ideas, but in the end of the day, just fell completely flat. I'm gonna put it in the it's not terrible category, because it never felt like a waste of time. It didn't, but it did feel flat, like it didn't execute on what I thought it would do, which is just really, really weird. It had such promise. Infested. This movie deserves an English version to come out, because the effects in this movie were incredible. Incredible, I tell you. So Infested was a Shudder original. It's in a different language. I don't remember what language it's in, but I remember the effects for the spiders were absolutely terrifying. I mean, it was so good. If that movie came out with English overdub and came to physical media, I think I might put it in as a perfect movie. It is so crazy. So with that being said, because that, as soon as I talk about that, I have to think in my head right away of another movie that came out similar in America, that came out to theaters, called Sting. And this, to me, when I first saw it, was a complete waste of time. I kid you not. I was pissed at this movie when I saw it in the theater. Then about a month ago or so, I watched it with my son here at the house, and I realized how fun it was. And it was not terrible. But here's the deal. My son watched that and thought it was a waste of time. His first viewing as well, he thought it was a waste of time. My first viewing, I thought it was a waste of time. My second viewing, I was like, okay, it's not terrible. It's fun. Reminds me of an 80s cheesy B movie. When I showed him Infested, again, he was like, this is exactly what a spider movie should be, not that movie Sting. So they're worlds apart, worlds apart. Last Kumatai, man, starring Viking Samurai. Shout out to Viking Samurai and his channel. I'll link it in the card up above. He's in this movie amongst many, many, many martial art legends. And Last Kumatai is like a spiritual successor to Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Best of the Best, all those kinds of movies from the mid to late 80s and early 90s. Unfortunately, it does more bad than good. It is, for some reason, it looks like it was shot on a phone. I don't understand what the color grading on this movie is. It's really amateurish. The bad guy, the lead villain in this is just yelling constantly for no reason, and it doesn't seem natural. You never catch on to him. I believe Bolo Young's son is in this, and he's killed off pretty quickly, and he's like just an afterthought. I don't understand who made that decision. So I'm gonna say this is, man, I gotta say Last Kumatai was a waste of time. Because look, here's the thing. When I first saw it, my initial thought was it's not terrible. In retrospective, it's a waste of time, because you'll never watch this and then say this is better than the originals that it's trying to emulate. You'll just go back to it. So that means it's a waste of time. It doesn't present any new ideas. All it does really is give you Viking Samurai's first real role that launches him into something better later on. So think of this like, I think it's No Surrender, No Retreat, or No Retreat, No Surrender from Van Damme. You won't necessarily go back and watch that movie because it's a great Van Damme movie. You'll just go back out of curiosity to see who he is or what he's done before he became big. And I think that's what this is for Viking Samurai. Night Swim, right away. This was Amityville in a pool. That's all this was. This was trash. Night Swim was absolute trash. A swimming pool that is evil. Yeah, fuck off. Then we have First Omen. Brother, I gotta tell you, First Omen was not only better than I thought when I watched it, but I actually watched Immaculate this year. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just remembered I watched Immaculate this year because everybody was, they're very similar movies. But in every single way, The First Omen is a better movie than Immaculate. Not to put down Immaculate, it presents some good ideas, but First Omen is brutal. It's incredible. The cinematography in that movie is amazing. We got Transformers 1. We're getting down to the wire now. Transformers 1, I was never a fan of Transformers, not because I hate it or anything like that. It just, from a distance, it looks cool. I never looked at it enough to get into it. Honestly, I think it's easy to rewatch. See, in my mind, I'm thinking it's better than I thought it would be, but eventually, I don't think it's that great to where it earns a 4-star, 4 bandana rating. It's easy to rewatch because it's a fun movie. I might have been a little bit too harsh on it when I first saw it. I got to watch it at home because I think the fact that we watched it in 3D, 4DX, it was a lot going on and I was a little distracted, which 4DX can do that to you as much of an experience as it is. 4DX can do that to you. So, yeah, I'm going to say it's easy to rewatch. And now, Under Paris, the last review or the last movie that I want to rank here. Under Paris, honestly, was a waste of time. I did this review for the channel subscribers at first, then I turned it into a channel member review because I don't know if I've ever seen in the history of this channel another movie that bought reviews as much as Under Paris did, that bought hype. Like every movie does it, right? But the amount of hype you saw for Under Paris, the number one movie, the number one shark movie, the best shark movie since Jaws. I mean, it was a load of bullshit. And when you watch this movie, the literal only shot that was memorable in it, that was any good, was the very last shot of Paris being underwater with a bunch of sharks around it. Whatever led up to that, anything about the movie was just absolutely forgettable and trash. I just remember being super frustrated. We wanted to turn it off halfway through because it just felt like another crappy shark movie. And we were so hyped up from it because of all these reviews that were coming out. It just was trash, man. So there we go. We got 3 movies: Alien Romulus, Godzilla -1, and The First Omen as perfect movies, 5 bandana movies. Better than I thought were Twisters, Atlas, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, and Infested, which is essentially 4 bandana movies. Easy to rewatch as Time Cut, Subservience, Uglies, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, and Transformers 1, which is essentially 3 bandanas. It's Not Terrible, which is Despicable Me 4, Dead Sea Sonic 3, Cabin Girl, Godzilla, Kong, The New Empire, Imaginary, and Sting, which is essentially 2 bandanas, and A Complete Waste of Time, which equals 1 bandana, is Memoirs of a Snail, Afraid, Last Kumatai, and Night Swim, as well as Under Paris. Guys, let me know what you thought of this tier listing and ranking of 2024 movies. What are your top 5 movies? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let's talk in the comments. I will see you in 2025. Let's hit 3,000 subscribers. Thank you for going through 2024 with me. Let's enter into 2025 with a bang. I'm Alex Thorn, and you know what I got to do. I got to rock out, watch some movies, and review them for you.